The sound of pages turning means it's time for another episode from the Meredith Library podcast studio, bringing you the library's latest news, information, and fun.
Good afternoon, Matthew.
Good afternoon, MaryBeth.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to episode 49 of Check It Out here at the Meredith Library podcast studio.
So we have a really fun topic today for everybody. We have decided to look back in the archives, which are open to the public, by the way. So people are welcome to come in and look through these exact same scrapbooks we are going to talk about today that we found all kinds of fun Meredith Library history things in. So with America 250 coming up this year and the 125th anniversary of our library building here, the Benjamin M. Smith Memorial Building, we decided it would be so much fun to tie in old things to today. So we're calling our theme today, Everything Old is New Again.
Yes.
So we went through the archive books from the 1960s through the 1990s, and we found things that were happening during those time periods that relate perfectly to modern things happening at the library. So we thought that would be a fun aspect to think about history today.
Yeah, Meredith Public Library style.
All right, MaryBeth, hit us with the first thing. You started off with the 1960s archive scrapbook. But the first thing you found that related to something going on today was from the early 70s. So what did you find?
I found from the Laconia, New Hampshire Evening Citizen paper on Thursday, October 4th, 1973, I found that Meredith was seeking old newspapers to microfilm.
Interesting. All right. So read it to us.
Yeah. So for over 20 years, the New Hampshire State Library, in cooperation with public and academic libraries in the state, has been engaged to microfilming the back issues of newspapers. After all of this time, all of the daily newspapers and a few of the weeklies have been filmed. So that's an interesting term. You know, it's sort of like, short for microfilmed, obviously.
Right,
but isn't it kind of funny?
Makes you think of the movie industry,
yeah,
but that's not what they mean,
It's
right?
sort of funny. It has been a great concern to the state library that weekly newspapers remaining, many of them now defunct, were printed on sulfite paper, which is it deteriorates very easily. They may well be unusable before they can be permanently transferred to film. So with the support of both Governor Thompson and the General Court, funds have been made available to begin the project. Meredith Public Library and the Meredith News are cooperating with the State Library on this project. Information is needed as the whereabouts of the Meredith Eagle, which was published from 1880 to 1886, and sometimes known as the Meredith Eagle and Blue Ribbon Advocate. Also, the Meredith Review, published from December 25th, 1880 to 1881.
All right, so that is such a good find, MaryBeth. So the reason we decided to talk about that one is because we are right in the middle of different phases of digitizing the entire run, right, of the Meredith News from its inception all the way to the modern era. And there is something right on the front of the website right now, in front of the library website, that talks about a phase that we've just completed with a several-year span of digitizing. At the time, right, microfilm or microfiche was the state of the art for preservation. And now, of course, it's digital scanning. And we are right on the cutting edge of it once again.
I know. Isn't that remarkable?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yep.
All right, what's next?
Cool. Okay, let's see. What is next over here? November 29th, 1973, the trustees agreed to increase library fines.
Oh, I can't wait to hear what it cost in 1973 for an overdue book.
So for overdue books, it was a 2-cent initial fine, but they agreed... Per day. And they agreed to raise it to 5 cents.
And then what's so kind of amazing about that is, of course, joining the modern library trend, the Meredith Public Library no longer charges overdue fines. Libraries just want people to bring the material back as soon as they can when they finish with it.
That's right.
All right, next.
Okay, so on February 12th, 1976,
All right.
the library received a state award.
Oh my God, that's so cool. I'm just going to jump ahead. As everyone knows by now, back in 2024, we were the New Hampshire Small Library of the Year.
Right, and just a little glimpse, it was the State Library Commission that presented a certificate of recognition to the library. The trustees and librarians of these libraries are commended on the quality of library service provided. So even back then,
Yeah, that's so cool.
we were doing wonderful things.
Right, exactly. All right, that's awesome. All right, so I have some stuff from the 1980s. This one I just thought was so interesting. There's no exact date on it, but based on the other articles around it, it has to be from late 1982 or early 1983. And it was a picture in the newspaper with a headline, The Unusual Pet Show. And it shows 5 children sitting on the front steps of the library. So normal front steps that we walk up and down every day. And this one is saying close to 50 area youngsters participated in the Unusual Pet Show sponsored last Thursday by the Meredith Public Library and the Meredith Parks and Recreation Department. The theme was very easy. Just bring your most unusual pet to the show. And then it goes on showing, it says the kids above were the prize winners. Actually, there were 6 of them, it says. But the things they brought were pet mussels, a hermit crab, tortoises, Mindy the dancing beagle, a jar of daddy long-legged spiders, and the last one says, and the ballet beer. And it looks like a stuffed beer to me. It's very hard to see in this picture.
Okay.
And I don't think she brought a real one.
Probably not.
So it looks like a teddy bear.
Yeah.
But apparently that was enough for the judges, and she won.
So, I mean, I would have voted for the jar of daddy long legs.
As the most unusual.
Yeah, that is kind of weird.
Well, I'd like to see the dancing beagle, though. I'd like to see. I mean, if this is choreographed, I don't know. Who
All right.
knows?
We
Who
can
knows?
revisit.
Yeah. And the reason I pulled that one out is because I was just planning something this weekend, or in the beginning planning stages, for a pet event here. So you're hearing it here first because we haven't even worked out any details. But
Okay, interesting.
pretty cool. Moving along. Oh, this is a good one. So this is from the Meredith News in December of 1983. The headline was Instant Camera Loans at Local Library. And the Meredith Library was about to start loaning out Polaroid cameras. Remember those? You could take the picture and then shake the, when it came out of the camera, you'd shake it and it would develop right in front of you.
Absolutely.
And it was like magic, right?
Yeah.
And the reason we pulled this out to talk about, though, is because we know we're going to be working more on the Library of Things here at the library. And I just thought it was just like that concept that other things were available.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of like revisiting that and doing it all over again.
Exactly. It sounds kind of cool. You are going to love this next one, MaryBeth.
Okay.
All right. This one is from May 8th, 1985.
Ooh.
We will not reveal our ages or what grade we might have been in on May 8th, 1985.
I was in kindergarten.
Yeah, well,
I'm sure.
I will not.
Oh, wait,
reveal
no. That would be terrible if I was that age in kindergarten.
You wish you were that
Let me
age.
do the math.
Yeah, you were that age in like 1975. And never
Shocker.
mind. Yeah, all right. We might have to edit some of
That's
that. I don't
kind
know.
of fun.
Or maybe we'll leave it all in. Who
I
knows?
think it's fun.
All right. So anyway, well, the headline from May 8th, 1985 was Ice Cream Buffet and Book Talk.
Yes, please.
And I can't even believe this. Again, the point of us mentioning these are because they tie into things. I literally just created an ice cream event, and you know what? It hasn't even been put on the calendar for the public yet, but I've done this stuff in the background.
So it seems like you're just reading from a menu of ideas that you've created this just recently.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? And that they had that way back then. So we will be having an ice cream event coming up. So
Okay. I'm not going to lie. I put one on my calendar too for the summer.
I was going to say maybe it's the same date because that would be cool.
It's an ice cream social. I think it might be in June.
Yeah.
Maybe around the time that the kids get out.
Okay, no, mine's in April. But the kids are invited to it too. So I thought we would time it so it's earlier. Like we'll put out the time to the public, like say 2 to 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the kids come in at that time for the after school program, then they can take in everything's already set up.
I will let them know.
So we'll talk about that. All right. Let's jump all the way to when they started talking about the library expansion.
Okay.
Now, we know there was so much here, obviously, in the last, 4 5 or 10 years when we expanded the library in 2020 or the early 2020s. And the planning went back, obviously, a few years before that. So as you can imagine, anyone who wants to see this old stuff in the archive books, there are years of articles spanning the 1980s edition and what that took. So, and there's all kinds of fun stuff you can see for that. Going along with those expansions, I think this is really cool. I saw an article. It showed somebody coming out of the front door of the library carrying a whole bunch of books. And it says she is leaving before it closes on Friday, July 19th, again, of 88. It's not clear in the article. Anyway, and it says they're taking the books out because the library is going to be closed for a couple of months during the renovations. And I just happened to remember the same thing happened. And they were encouraging people to take as many books as you want out before the library closed. So that way they wouldn't have to move those books around internally as everything was being shifted for the renovations. So it just reminded me of that. Oh, and then another cool thing. So I happened to see at a certain time, this is 1987, I'm seeing, there happens to be several weekly articles saying with headlines, Meredith Public Library happenings. And as you know, Mary Beth, and probably our listeners, I actually write a weekly column now, which appears in the Meredith News. And I actually change the headline every week, though.
Okay.
So I think they would take some shortcuts in 1987. What do you think?
Maybe you should bring that back.
And then I would just have to put down Meredith Library happenings.
Yes.
Maybe one's actually for nostalgia. I don't know. But anyway. So I just thought that was interesting because somewhere along the way, it was happening way back then. And then it got lost somewhere and stopped. And now, of course, we've revived that.
And looking at this across from the table right now, at the top, they have our library symbol. Yeah, so sort of like it catches the reader's eye. Right. They know exactly where to go. So maybe you should bring that back.
Like a logo. Yeah. Some of them have it.
Logo.
Yeah. All right. That's something to discuss at one of our upcoming meetings, right? Mm-hmm. Good observation. All right. So let's move along. I just noticed that there were a lot of articles over, again, in the 80s and early 90s where I'm looking here, showing art displays, which is interesting. And some of them were employees, some of them were local artists, some were from out of town, so all kinds of different things. And I just thought it would be a good thing to mention when we built our new edition in the early 20s. We have, of course, the art wall right off the art wall display area, right off the elevator on the second floor. And I love that when they were planning the renovations of the building, somebody thought of that. I wasn't here at the time, so I don't know who to credit, but somebody thought of that as deserving its own special area. Yeah. And it has its own spotlight on it and, has a special system on the wall to hang things. Because when I'm looking at these old pictures, they're actually just like on display over the fireplaces on the first floor. Right. Like now we have like those historical photos there, right, that don't change. But this is interesting to me that they used to use that area. I mean, I guess because it was such a public. Of course. Area. And they had such a smaller space. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Let's have a place to highlight all the local art. And so don't forget, anyone who's listening, if you'd like to come in and visit our archive section or our collection, rather, upstairs on the second floor. It's a keyed collection, so you'd have to get somebody from the circulation desk to unlock the door. And then you could have a seat in the historic room. And that provides a lot of open space to handle all of these delicate archives. Yes. And it's kind of cool that you can see yourself, perhaps. If you came to the library years ago, you remember different, maybe being photographed for the newspaper or something or different events. Like there were a lot of things from the 80s with a certain Christmas party. So if you remember, I went to a Christmas party when I was in elementary school, whatever, you might be in these archive pictures. Yeah, yeah, for sure. And you're more than welcome to come and take a peek. Yep. And the archives themselves also have the physical copies of the Meredith News. We were talking about that being digitized, but we have physical copies there. And also another really cool thing in the archives is the photograph and postcard collections. So there are pictures and either individual pictures or pictures on postcards that actually go back to, over 100 years. And you can see what downtown looked like in Main Street. And some of the buildings you still recognize and oh my God, such and such was there at the time, whatever. Or things are no longer there. And it's kind of fascinating. Like, for example, you and I were walking downtown the other day, right after work on Saturday. And I forgot to point that out to you. You know that fountain that's there right next to, it's between Town Hall and the Historical Society?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yes. Did you know that fountain used to be in the middle of Main Street?
I did not.
That was not decorative. That was for horses to get
Really?
water. Yeah, and they
Wow.
show it. It was in the middle of Main Street. But then because with cars and, automobiles and stuff, they eventually wanted to preserve it, but move it out of the way of the street because it was
Aw.
literally in the middle, like
Maybe it was like an intersection.
Yeah.
You would have to drive
you
around
had to
it.
go around it kind of. Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty narrow street as it is. I couldn't imagine having to like plow around that.
Right,
in the
exactly.
winter.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Of course, we could figure out exactly when it was moved. I don't remember. But anyway, it was really cool to find old pictures with that in the street and see like horses and carriages.
Yeah,
Stuff.
I kind of want to research that.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a plug to come and check out the archives.
Absolutely.
All right. Always a pleasure talking to you, Mary Beth, and sharing fun stuff with our audience.
Same to you, Matthew.
We'll talk next time for the next exciting episode of Check It Out. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Podcast music titled Daytime TV Theme by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0.
Podcast copyright 2026, Meredith Library Podcast Studio.